This is Leon's story, a boy who one night while training was presented with the opportunity to obtain a sacred sword. It spoke to him and asked him if he thought he was worthy of possessing it. Leon decides to take it in order to have an equal chance with his rival. Leon, yes, his name is the same as his, so to differentiate them, from now, he's gonna be Lionel. Leon takes the sword, but let's go back in time. This guy fighting Leon is Lionel, and as usual, he beats him over and over again without even taking the fight seriously. In this academy, Leon is the only one still trying to stand up to Lionel. Leon gets up and tries to fight again, while the people watching just thought how great Lionel was, because despite having the same name, Lionel is not only better looking, but also stronger. Lionel was transferred 3 years ago to that academy, and Leon couldn't get over it no matter how hard he trained. Although their names are the same, Lionel's appearance and personality seems like something out of a fairy tale. Leon doesn't believe the lie that he is a commoner. He thinks Lionel should have gone to the class for nobles and not the class for commoners. He even takes it personally. Despite everything, Lionel is not a bad person and tries to get along with him. We meet this girl, Chloe, a friend of these two and one of the reasons why they fight with each other. Chloe wants Leon to stop trying to fight him when he can't even win. She even worries about his injuries, but Leon doesn't want her to interfere. At night, while training hard as he had always done, he thought about if things would be that way if he had the support of a family, a master of the same level, or if he had noble blood. After all, the only thing Leon has is his effort and a wooden sword that he just broke. Leon believes that this world has too many walls to overcome them all with effort alone. That day was Lionel's 17th birthday and he finds himself at a big party, while Leon was just training. When Leo gets depressed because all his efforts seem to be in vain, he begins to ask the goddess for explanations. He thinks he won't receive an answer, but suddenly, a light appears before him. Meanwhile, on Lionel's birthday, Chloe was wondering where Leo was. She had looked for him everywhere and still does. This gentleman named Gilbert refers to Lionel as Highness, but immediately asks not to be called that in public, since he wants to keep his identity hidden. Besides, according to his words, he has no right to hold that title yet. Gilbert mentions that it will be 1 year before the prophecy passed by the imperial family is fulfilled. On that day, Lionel, a member of the imperial family, would already be an adult, and the life of the current emperor, who is afraid of the prophecy, will come to an end. When this happens, the citizens will witness the rise of the ancient holy king Roderick. Lionel knows that Gilbert is referring to the great hero Roderick from 300 years ago, but it is also clear to him that Gilbert has very high expectations for him. In theory, they would find out the following year if the prophecy was true, but by then, Lionel wants Chloe, who has a special talent and is learning level 4 magic, and Leon, who has the strongest mentality he knows, to be by his side. The prophecy reads as follows: the day a man with the name of a Leon reaches adulthood, a sword will descend from the sky that will destroy evil, and that's right. Said sword is the one that appears in front of Leon. So this brings us back to the beginning. A sword falls from the sky in front of Leon. To top it off, it is also able to speak and asks Leon to stand up. Because of the unique shape it has in the sunlight glow, Leon quickly deduces that it is the holy sword. It tells Leon that he was the person who called it. Just as he believes, the world is unfair. Those who have everything gain even more, while those who have nothing lose everything. But the sword declares that opportunities should be given fairly, and thanks to all the effort Leon has made, and thanks to him questioning the gods for irrationality, it finally asks him one last question. Do you think you are worthy? Leon answers yes, so the sword asks him to wield it, thus giving him a chance to prove his words. Leon knows what it would mean to hold the sacred sword, so he knows that he would be able to change everything. But he considers himself a coward, because so far he has tried to overcome the injustice of his reality based on effort. So he does not want his past purposes and efforts to have been in vain. Leon wants to prove his ability, determination, and effort, but on his own, so he turns away from taking the sword. It is then when the sword determines that Leon is a brave man who proved that he is righteous, so he calls him a hero and asks him to take it. Leon, who has the will to prove his convictions over greed for fame. Leo, who meets all the conditions. The sword determines that he is worthy of becoming a hero. The sword tries to convince him, telling him that this is an opportunity that was justly given to him thanks to his conviction and skills. His name is Elcid, alter ego of King Rodrigo Caldias Elvivar. With the help of this sword, Leon will be in charge of destroying evil. This guy is Roderick, and well, he has more than one personality. The sword was supposed to be given to Lionel, but since Leon has the same name and at no point is it made clear that he had to be from the royal family, well, here we are. Lionel doesn't live up to his standards, even though he is so talented. He lacks the will. Roderick tells Leon that he will achieve to be even better than he was. After this, Leon wakes up thinking it was a dream. But it wasn't. The sword was right there. From the sword comes this manifestation and makes it clear to Leon that he is his chance. However, he warns him that he will not be strong right away. He will have to go through many difficult trials. Those who have a great destiny will have to live a life just as cruel or worse. Leon will probably have to sacrifice the woman he loves or the friends he trusts. Leon mentions that it is not a thorny path. It is an opportunity. Then Elcid asks him to get ready immediately to go train. Leon must show him his skill with the sword so that Elcid can be aware of his current level and teach him correctly. They leave too early, so Elcid reproaches Leon for not resting at all. Leon tells him that being on school grounds, the sword stands out too much and he won't know what excuse to make if anyone looks at him. If they continue like this, there will be difficulties to train. But there is nothing to worry about. Elcid has the solution. Use Leon's arm as a sheath. That way he can take it out whenever he wants or otherwise keep it hidden. Only Leon is able to see the spirit. So now that the sword is hidden, he can train anytime, anywhere, well, except while sleeping. But enough talk. It's time for Leon to show him his skills. A bit discouraged, Leon Leon tells him that he will probably be disappointed, but Elsid tells him that he won't, since he has given his best in the environment he was in. No teacher would blame his student for things he hasn't been taught. Leon prepares to demonstrate his skills. He does what he always does, but it feels different. Strength flows into his hands from the fact that he has gained someone's trust. Elsid asks him to stop, since the practice sword would no longer hold at that rate, and indeed, it breaks. Repeating the basic training is useful to master it. But Elsid didn't expect that to be possible for a user without an aura. Having trained the basics, Elsid has no major criticisms to make of him, so he will teach him how to move his body. You can't use a sword without hands. Knowing how to move the body efficiently is the basis of every martial art. Even though Leon frequently trains his body, what Elsid mentions is on another level. He asks him to run to test his physical capabilities. In addition, he asks him to use movements that he will teach him while running, turning around, leaning on his hands, and running with one leg. Leon was confident, but he had never run that way before, so he doesn't know what the purpose of it is. Elsid looks at Leon as a canvas. He sees him no different than a handmade pottery. It is enough that he can be filled. He mentions that if he learns even just a small portion of the swordplay of the ancient heroes, he will be able to become a master swordsman. However, he will not let after 300 years his successor remain just a master, so he wants to see him able to slay a dragon with ease, even fighting the Demon King. After all, with half of his power would be enough. Leon is in class barely awake, exhausted from how little rest he has had, finding it hard to pay attention to the lectures. Elsid mentions to him that he now knows where to start teaching him, so he asks Leon what he thinks his weakest point is. Leon replies that maybe swordplay, but that's wrong. His weakest point is his eyes. Observation skills are the most important, followed by footwork and then followed by courage. At the end of it all, there's strength. It's not that strength isn't important. It means the previous three are more so. Well, some can be debated, but without a doubt the eyes are the most important. Leon never heard of eye training before, so he thinks his vision will improve if he starts rolling his eyes like crazy, but it doesn't. Elsid will be in charge of teaching him how to see. He's going to make sure to make him understand how useless his eyes are so far. This technique is going to be called vision. Asks you to look straight ahead, using the teacher at the front of the board as the focal point. Asks you to concentrate for 10 seconds and memorize. A blue board, a middle-aged man with gray hair and green eyes, holds a wooden cane. After 10 seconds, he must close his eyes. Then Elsid asks him the most unexpected question. How many lines of text are written on the board? Leon has only been watching the teacher, so he has no idea what is on the board, even though the board was in his range of vision. Leon doesn't remember anything but the professor. The reason for that is simple. It's because he's trying to look at what was important. Elsid tells him that the eyes are much more wasted than he imagines. Despite having a large range of vision, people do not usually use the entire field of vision, so he asks him to concentrate on the entire field of vision and memorize each figure reflected in his eyes as if it were a drawing. In this way, relaxing his eyes, eventually he will be able to learn to do it all the time instead of just 10 seconds. Leon didn't expect anything easy, but he also didn't expect the teachings of the sacred sword to be this complex. Elsid continues to give him instructions. Meanwhile, Lionel watched as Leon made funny faces. As he leaves class, he can barely feel his eyes and his head feels like it's half open. Elsid tells him that everything is going well and that the reason his eyes are fatigued is because they are dry. However, the headache is different. He explains that since it is an attribute that until recently was dormant, the pain appeared when releasing what has been frozen. Comparatively, it is similar to muscle pain. It is something different because the brain has no sense of pain. But that does not matter. They must continue with the training. Leon is being quite outrageous. Fortunately, he is the only one able to see Elsid. He keeps training his eyesight with these chandeliers, with these guys who were passing by, with the lights of this building. By the time we got home, the eye fatigue was worse, but for a first day it wasn't bad at all. Leon never asked for a break, but if he had, Elsid instantly refused. Leon doesn't remember ever feeling so physically and mentally tired before. Elsid explains to him that getting used to it also means stagnating. There is a limit to how far you can go with the same training. There are advantages to repetitive training, yes, but it would be a problem if the body finds an easy way to do it. What Elsid means by this is that he should train using many methods. It is for that reason that the instructions in the beginning were to run on one leg or go handstand. Elsid continues with his explanation. He needs Leon to be aware of the things he is not used to. Leon's strength is in the stamina he managed to perfect through an absurd amount of training. On the other hand, his weakness is rigidity when it comes to doing the same fundamental movements. In other words, he has neither physical nor mental flexibility. Leon asks him about the aura and about fencing. Elsid answers that fencing is the way in which a sword is handled. If he can apply the fundamental movements to overcome the situation, that in itself is fencing. But of course, there are extremely powerful fencing styles. As for aura, he has nothing to say except that if someone with no basics like Leon suddenly learns aura, it would raise suspicions in many people. So Elsid will teach him aura once he leaves the academy. Elsid tells Leon to concentrate on mastering how to see for the time being if what he wants is to defeat Lionel as soon as possible. Leon gets excited, but that's exactly what Elsid doesn't want, for him to get used to the repetitive training. So from now on, every time he gives a wrong answer, he'll take it upon himself to give him a punishment, to a point where there's no time for him to get used to it. This punishment thing is not just annoying for no reason. Although Leon's mentality is helpful and his willpower is enormous, he needs someone to give him a push. Leon sees himself capable of developing a corresponding resistance, so he decides to do it. He gets his first punishment. As it was his first, Elsid couldn't adjust it properly, so from now on, the punishment will be a bit weaker, although the intensity will increase if he does things wrong several times in a row. He tells him with this nice smile that shows he means it. The training continues. Lion is doing quite well with the technique to see better. Elsid considers that he is doing quite well considering he's only been here for a month. That's why he earns a break. The first one after a whole month. But he can't celebrate much, because Lionel appears before him. It's been a month since the last time Leon challenged him to a duel, so he thought he had given up like the others. But seeing his face, it would seem strange for him to give up now. The face of the people who think he can't beat Lionel is very different from Leon's. Lionel wants to talk to him some more. He asks him if he already heard the rumor that he is no commoner. Leon doesn't see it as a rumor. In fact, he saw it as something Lionel seemed not to want to hide. Lionel would not have been affected if he refused to fight Leon the times Leon challenged him, so he was simply able to evade duels with him without even using his identity. The duels between them only continued thanks to Lionel's kindness. It was nothing less than the generosity of the victor. Lionel wants to end things once and for all, but not right now in that place. The next fight between the two will be the last. Same as always. Sword only with no aura management, but instead, they will use real swords instead of practice ones. If Lionel wins, Leon must become his vassal, so technically it's like a bet. Leon tells him that it's just a bet that depends on his word. Not being a contract, verbal promises can be broken at any time. That would be the case with anyone else. But Lionel knows that Leon is not like that. He's an inflexible person who got there on pure pride. In other words, Lionel trusts him, because Leon is the kind of person who would keep a promise no matter what. But what happens if Leon wins? Well, Lionel agrees to give him anything he wants, as long as it's not something that would jeopardize his honor or that of his family. Arcane sword skills, or cultivation methods, even elixirs. He can ask for anything. Leon will decide what he wants on the day of the fight. Lionel asks him to let him know when he is ready. He has to prepare the place where they will fight, so he must know 3 days in advance. Having said this, he takes his leave. Meanwhile, Roderick knows that the moment has finally arrived. Leon, who was chosen as the hero by mere whim of the sacred sword, against Lionel, the prince who intends to take the imperial throne. Their first real duel is about to begin. However, Lionel is he's actually very nervous. Elsid doesn't really like Leon being nervous. But what's really wrong with Leon is that he doesn't know if he's really become strong. He's trained a lot the last month, but he doesn't feel like he's become strong. Elsid tells him to relax. He may not be conscious now, but Leon is pretty strong. Elsid mentions that how to see is a different technique than physical strength, and not having used it properly before, it's normal that he doesn't feel strong. Leon would have a physical test later. Elsid tells him that something beyond his imagination will happen to him. We are in the physical test. Last time, Leon was 9th. Although pure physical abilities are evaluated without the use of mana, those in the highest places were always those of the noble class. Apart from the aura, nobles take special medicines and have special physical training, so the 9th place was the limit for Leon. Lionel, as expected, is the 1st place. Although he hasn't trained as much as Leon, he has also trained a little, so he can't be compared to the guys who only come from a good house. Although the test is called short distance race, they must run 800 meters. To Lionel last time this took him 1 minute and 20 seconds, while to Leon it took him 1 minute and 40 seconds. But nothing happens. Elsid tells him not to be afraid to try. Now things are different because he has him. The first race begins. Leon shoots out, surprising everyone, even Lionel. Finally, he completed the 800 meters in 1 minute 29 seconds. Because of this, the instructor believes that Leon learned to use aura, so he makes him a test to rule out. Finally, he did not detect anything. But it is a fact that he changed a lot in a few weeks. The instructor asks him what kind of training he has done. He answers that he has only been doing the basics. The instructor noticed that Leon has had more rest than before, because the amount of training Leon was doing was unusually high. Leon is still surprised by his performance in the race, so he asks Elsid for explanations, who explains that most training methods are focused on increasing muscle size. But if you don't understand muscle nerves, you're halfway there. Muscles obviously have nerves, and the strength that muscles can exert goes hand in hand with the development of those nerves. The reason why strength is not just dependent on physique is because of the difference in muscle nerves. What Elsid told him was something Leon had never heard before, not even from the instructors at the academy. Elsid is focusing on developing Leon's muscular nervous system. Leon wonders how he has helped him develop them, and the answer is the punishments. Yes, the punishments he received before were helpful in developing Leon's muscular nerves. All those parts of his body have been tense for over 10 years, and he relieved them in a very short time. So it was obvious that it would hurt a lot, just as if his muscles were pulled out with a blade. The pain Leon went through in the punishments was the process to develop the neuromuscular system. Elsid didn't say anything to Leon before because it would be unfair. He also mentions that the reason he more or less learned to use how to see well was to escape the pain of the punishments. But it makes sense, because if he had listened to the reasons behind it, he wouldn't have been able to concentrate so well. You can criticize Elsid's methods, but not his results. He's just doing his job as a holy sword. Hearing all this, Leon thinks that Roderick was actually a great villain and not a hero. But anyway, the races continue, and it was Lionel's turn, who managed to break his own record. In the final results, Leon came in 2nd place behind Lionel, but that's okay. It would be weird if he could beat him in just 1 month. Moving up from 9th place to 2nd gives Leon hope that he can win. While they are resting, Leon asks Elsid what kind of training he is following. Elsid replies that there is not much he can do in terms of physical ability, so the best thing for Leon would be to gain experience so that he can effectively apply everything he has learned. It is for that reason that Elsid suggested that they leave the academy. Leon wants to learn swordsmanship, but before that, he must first learn aura. The basic skills are more than enough to take them to a certain degree. Martial arts without aura are nothing more than tricks. By going in such a hurried manner, that would make Leon's movements easy to predict. In short, an orthodox swordsman like Lionel would not fall for mediocre tricks, so Leon must use his emotions. A sword trained through effort for a long time is powerful, now that his physical capabilities are of a similar level. Not even Lionel will be able to surpass him. However, Leon needs real fighting experience, so Elsid suggests him to get someone to fight. Leon believes he won't find someone to fight with at the academy, but the day after the students in the noble section were insulting him for the rank he had achieved, they believe Leon cheated without the instructor knowing. Leon just laughs at them and tells them to go complain to the instructor if they had a problem with their ranking. This group believes that Leon is being helped by some family. They didn't listen to what Leon was saying. In fact, they probably didn't even intend to talk things over calmly in the first place. In their eyes, Leon is just a nuisance they want to get rid of. Moments later, this guy shows up who, instead of trying to calm things down, wants to get a proper punishment for Leon. His name is Elmont and he comes from the Bourbon family. He is the second son of the Countess Bourbon. He is the one who had been in second place constantly in the endurance test until the last time. He is angry because Leon took his place, but it makes no sense that he is. He is someone who does not even dare to do anything against Lionel. Elmont challenges Leon to compete against each other under the supervision of the instructor. It may seem that they have offered him the best option by including the instructor, but it is not a fair proposal, because the fact that the condition of not using aura was not included in what they said means that these louts will use aura. If Leon says something against him, they will just use the card that he is cheating the instructor. On the other hand, if he refuses to fight, they will look for a way to hurt him in another way. Lionel saw all this. It would be easy for him to get Leon out of that situation, but the last thing Leon wants is to ask his rival for help. Leon accepts Elmont's proposal, under one condition. The instructor supervising the duel will be Helmut, and it will be only one person per day. And lastly, that they swear never to question his skills again if he wins. If Helmut is the supervisor, then using tricks will be impossible. Elmont accepts Leon's conditions. But hey, he got it. He needed real fighting experience, didn't he? Now he's got a great opportunity, although he didn't expect it to be that way. Elsid doesn't know what to expect from fighting because he never fought against someone who could use aura. However, he will show Leon a way in which it would be easy, a method that is probably the easiest. Elsid shows Leon his current skills. He is level 18. He also shows him Elmont's. This is level 15. However, Elsid did this based on his standards, so he is not very objective. Leon is shocked that Elmont is so weak. If he comes from a noble family, he probably took all kinds of elixirs and went through training to make himself stronger. Elsid says that no matter how much elixirs he takes, if he can't digest them well, then it becomes normal nutritious food. As for his training, it can't compare to what Leon had. Elmont's physical abilities, without counting the aura, are an E rank with 99 points, but Leon is able to surpass that limit with the help of Elsid and with his hard work. In short, even without an aura, Leon is able to take down that group of idiots. From now on, Leon will aim for the top and not the bottom. He is highly motivated and there is no way he will lose to Elmont and his group. Leon asks Elsid why he has that name on the card, to which Elsid tells him to get stronger if he doesn't want it to stay that way. The day arrives. At the academy, Leon meets Helmut on the way. He recognizes that Leon has changed a lot in just 1 month. The truth is that Helmut planned to stop him if he was thinking of doing something reckless, but there is no need for that. Helmut tells him to take care of teaching those assholes a lesson. Leon enters the fighting arena, where this one was already waiting for him who was complaining because he made him wait. The fight is about to begin. Helmut asks each one what he wants for this fight. What this guy wants is that Leon confesses his sins. On the other hand, Leon fights so that they stop bothering him. That said, the fight begins, even though the sword is made of wood. If they cover it with aura, it is able to cut. It is a disadvantage for Leon since he can't use aura, but that's okay. Leon is confident that he will win. Elmont's lackey attacks. It is at that moment where Leon realizes that his movements are extremely slow, so he hits him quickly in the forehead, surprising everyone watching the fight. Even Lionel. The fight seems to be over, but the lackey gets up again wanting to be beaten again. Helmut planned to stop the fight since he could not allow him to fight with such behavior, but Leon wants to continue, seeing that he is at a disadvantage. This guy starts using aura. It is at that moment where Elsid comes out to tell Leon not to end the fight with a single blow. It is his first real fight using vision, so since this guy can serve as a practice object, he tells him to let him know that ending the fight with a single blow before was a mere act of mercy. The fight resumes. Leon keeps seeing his movements in a simple way, as if he is able to predict where his moves are going. Even though he is using the aura, Leon is still reading his movements. The guy attacks him with continuous bursts without thinking about how to distribute his energy, proving that he is inexperienced in fights. Leon finds an opening and strikes, moments later knocking him down, thus winning the fight because he ends up surrendering. Later at the academy, people talk about Leon's combat because they didn't expect him to be so good at fighting. Leon started fighting each of them, defeating all of them and sending them to the infirmary. The only one left is Elmont. They were weak opponents. Swordplay and physical was pretty .meh, but now Elmont follows, who besides using aura, is physically stronger than Leon. Besides, there was something in the stats window that Elsid showed him earlier, swordsmanship vision. That skill is level 1, so it's probably not that powerful, but unknown techniques are the scariest, so Leon probably can't see through with the vision technique. Elmont is excited that his turn has finally come, but I don't know what he's so excited about if he's going to lose in the end. Leon knows that Elmont is the perfect practice opponent for his match with Lionel. Elmont is able to imbue imbue his sword with aura, so he has a bit of a disadvantage with his wooden sword. The fight begins and immediately, Elmont attacks with a burst of energy. Despite being a jerk, it is normal for him to have these abilities coming from a noble family. Elmont tells Leon that if he surrenders to him and follows his orders, he will put aside the rivalry they have. But evidently Leon does not accept this and fights back. Elcid is extremely angry that Elmont disregarded his skills, so much so that he tells Leon that if Elmont's teeth are still intact after the fight is over, he will punish him. Leon knows that 1 or 2 teeth won't be enough, so he will try to pull out as many as he can. Leon attacks Elmont. Lionel, who is watching the fight, understands that if things continue like this, Leon will lose by attrition. Thanks to the technique of vision, Leon takes the advantage as the fight progresses. Elmont thinks he is using aura, but Helmut had not seen aura coming from Leon. However, he is surprised that he is fighting that way with Elmont. Desperate to win, Elmont uses arcane fencing. When using that, Leon does not know exactly what move he will do. Elmont lunges against Leon and it seems that he manages to dodge his attack. But it was a feint. It seemed that the fight was over there, until Leon makes an unusual move and manages to dodge and hit him in the left arm. Elmont did not give up and plan to attack again, but Leon manages to repel his sword and better yet, give him a good blow that would leave him without some teeth, thus winning the fight. Now that Elmont was humiliated in that way, Elcid is sure to watch his words from now on. But more importantly, Leon opened the doors to accelerate, which means he is progressing much faster than Elcid expected. As for the teeth, yes, indeed, there were many. The technique Accelerate was what Leon did to dodge Elmont's blow before. Accelerate is a technique that normally can be used after learning aura, but Leon used it before, with his own muscles. Even though it was an incomplete execution, it was quite good. That means that he instinctively exceeded his limits with pure willpower. If Leon had used Accelerate on his whole body and not just his legs, it would have been the end for him. For now, he must take care of his body, because it's time for muscle pains. Leon should be glad that was the price to pay for having used Accelerate. Elcid tells him not to use it again until he has learned aura. The next day, in the academy there were rumors about Leon. Things like that a renowned family found him and gave him an elixir, or that he is a secret weapon, or that he even learned arcane swordsmanship from an unknown master. All these rumors have been spread by Elmont's little group. They are looking for any excuse to justify their defeat. Chloe talks a bit with Leon. She is aware that something changed in him and that lately he tries to avoid talking to her in a direct way. Not to mention that he was also fighting nobles. It is here when Leon recognizes how he felt about her. He was jealous that Lionel was by his side. He was overwhelmed by his own inferiority complex. He hated that the world did not reward him for his hard work and he blamed himself for that. Among all those rumors, Chloe hits the bullseye with hers, but it doesn't go any further because Leon suddenly starts crying. He feels that Elcid pulled him out of a bottomless pit. Meanwhile, Roderick in his dimension had gone off for a moment to get cookies, and by the time he comes back, he sees that Leon's level bar started to grow. Leon has it clear. He wants to become a hero like the former owner of the sacred sword, and he is going to surpass all of Elcid's expectations. Even Roderick didn't understand what was going on. He was supposed to just talk to Chloe, but suddenly he grew up. He can't understand it because he is perfect by birth. But the reason doesn't matter, because finally, he considers Leon looks worthy of being polite. This makes a shiver run through his whole body. Chloe tells Leon that he is similar to Lionel, but with a difference. One looks up and one looks down. What Chloe wants is for these two to get along. Leon tells her that he will try, but he knows he won't be able to do it. The next day, Leon trains. He's aware that he must have a good strategy. It is obvious that he would be affected against someone like Lionel if he uses the same technique over and over again. Leon wants to overcome him, read his movements, and finally get the victory. It seems that seeing Lionel's stats days ago affected Leon a bit. He is level 25. His aura level is intermediate, and yet he can use sword energy as well as manifest aura out of his body. He is stronger than most instructors. Lionel is at a level that the most talented knights can reach in their 30s, even if Leon loses strength and speed. He has a bit more stamina. He is a tricky opponent, yes, but definitely not someone Leon can't beat. Elcid will advise him as much as he can to use him as a base to prepare for the fight against Lionel. Leon asks Elcid what he would try to do if he were to lose to Lionel. Elcid doesn't answer him. This is a test for Leon. This battle may be the turning point of Leon's life. If he wins against Lionel, Elcid promises to explain everything to him. Meanwhile, Lionel is with Gilbert and Gilbert reviews Leon's fights against Elmont's henchmen. But that's not what's important, because that same day Lionel got a message from Leon. He was ready. Lionel asks Gilbert for a favor. He has no intention of losing to Leon. He definitely wants to make him his knight. The day of the fight, the sky was totally agitated. Unlike the other fights, this one will be without an audience. There will only be one spectator as a witness. Elcid suspects that this one spectator is Chloe. Since Lionel thinks that Leon likes Chloe, he intends to use this fight to lure her to him. There were many instances where vassals and the king fought over a woman. If Leon loses, he will become her vassal. That's reason enough for Chloe to watch them. It's part of Lionel's plan. He tries to draw a clear line of who will be the ruler and who will be the ruled. However, that way of doing things completely ignores how Leon and Chloe feel. Leon already knew it inside his head. Lionel is really a high-ranking noble, someone who tries to manipulate the relationships and emotions of others. If that was the nobleman's way, Leon was completely disgusted. Leon arrives at the combat arena and asks Lionel about the only spectator. He answers that this person is in a place where they can't see him. This so that Leon doesn't make mistakes by being distracted. Before starting the fight, Lionel takes a pill that suppresses the aura. This in order not to let it out unintentionally, because if it were the case the fight would be a disaster. Lionel is completely serious. Compared to how how carefree he normally is. But Leon is no slouch. The fight begins. Leon and Lionel clash swords. Quickly, Lionel takes the lead with several consecutive attacks. If the fight continues like that, it would be over in a few seconds. Leon feels Lionel's sword move like a whip. Although he is using Roderick's vision technique, Lionel's figure cannot see it completely, so he is not able to fully predict his attacks. Leon calms down and tries to concentrate a little more, while Gilbert could not believe that this was a fight between students. Just like Helmut, even though they are not using aura, the level they are showing with swordsmanship and their combat senses may be better than those of the knights. Leon is aware that Lionel is a monster. On the other hand, Lionel wonders when Leon improved so much. Gilbert was aware that Lionel was a genius, but he didn't at all expect Leon to be able to catch up. The fight continues, more even than before. Lionel attacks with a double feint, but Leon dodges it and counterattacks. This not only surprises Lionel, it also makes him angry. Leon thought about why his attacks didn't feel as powerful as the first one, and that's because from the beginning, Lionel tried to make this an endurance fight. Lionel's strategy was to hit until Leon's stamina was consumed, then turn the tables in his favor little by little. A rather dirty technique, but in the end he really wants to win. Lionel decides he has to break his spirit first. If he is unable to do so, Leon will never submit to him, so he prepares to attack using an arcane technique of the Imperial family, flashing steps. This technique uses muscles and blood flow to allow the user to overcome his strength limit. Lionel is using it incompletely because he is not using aura, but that should be enough. On the other hand, Lionel thinks that he has to use vision to the fullest. Lionel attacks. Although the damage was not lethal, Leon was hurt. Leon can't believe he is not using aura, but Elsid confirms it and also scares him by talking to him suddenly. He explains that there are techniques that improve the body like flashing steps, but there are also techniques that increase stamina, but they can't talk much. Lionel doesn't give any rest. Leon lost the rhythm of the fight because of Elsid's interruption. No, it wasn't an interruption. The atmosphere around Leon starts to change. He thought that the only way to win was to resist Lionel's attacks, but the only thing he needs to do is to rely on all the strength he has been accumulating. This makes Lionel start to see him bigger, but it doesn't scare him, because he definitely wants to make him his vassal. Lionel prepares to use flashing steps despite being at his limit. The difference between these two, Lionel, who is born with innate talent, and Leon, who trained every day. Both prepare for the final blow. Leon managed to break Lionel's sword. His hard work was finally paying off. The number of swords they both have broken is different, so Leon is someone who knows the limit of his sword. And so, finally, Leon defeated Lionel. Gilbert congratulates him and Elsid reminds Leon of his part of the bet, which he was going to decide after the fight was over. Lionel will grant him anything as long as it doesn't affect his reputation or that of his family. But now that he thinks about it, Leon doesn't need anything. However, having lost, Lionel insists that he ask him for something. Leon says he'll tell him later because he hasn't thought of anything yet. Leon was able to finish the fight without having to resort to using speed up. However, he feels he pushed himself too hard. Nothing unusual. His opponent was Lionel, but nothing happens, because Chloe shows up to heal his wounds with her level 4 healing magic. She effectively was the spectator. However, she's just sad because those two kept fighting. Chloe already knows that Leon plans to leave the academy. She knows him like the back of her hand. Leon has always been like that. Like here, when he fought for 10 hours against this thing. He always defied the limits that people thought were impossible to break, and he ended up succeeding. Although this time it took him quite a while. After laughing a bit together, Leon asks Chloe to go see Lionel, because although this one doesn't express it, he is surely depressed and shocked. While leaving, Chloe asks Leon what he will do after leaving the academy. He answers that for now it is still a secret. Chloe wishes him the best. Leon says that apparently he had been wanting to become a special person. He gave everything he had desperately in everything he did. He wanted to become someone who wouldn't lose to either of them. But in the end he couldn't overcome walls like social status or talents. He had lost his way in front of those two people because he felt he wasn't good enough. That is until Elsid came along, who helped him get rid of the inferiority complex that was deep in his heart. And now, Leon is determined to become a hero. Elsid laughs at him for how materialistic he sounded, but he is not disappointed. There is nothing wrong with wanting wealth and honor. Ambitions are fundamental in human life. Ambitions are what makes humans human. It is for that reason that Elsid chose him. The person who was supposed to be a hero was not Leon. It was Lionel, legitimate son of the Imperial Clyde family. His full name is Lionel Callum Gladius von Clyde, but thank heaven we just call him Lionel. Elsid says that Lionel was appointed to be the hero 150 years ago, but there is no rule that says that the hero must be chosen by prophecies or oracles. Pioneering your own future with your own willpower is something that heroes also do. Leon doesn't feel guilty for having robbed Lionel of the chance to be a hero. After all, in comparison to him, it's not as if he lacks things. Besides, the soul of the great hero Roderick and the sacred sword Elsid chose him. Now that it is so, Leon only responds to those expectations. The next day, Leon dropped out of the academy and would become an adventurer. His instructor was very sad about this and wrote him a letter of recommendation instead of giving him a graduation certificate. Plus, as a bonus, Leon's fights inspired both commoners and nobles to work harder. But anyway, Leon no longer has any need to return to the academy, so he leaves for the Free City, Blaine, the place where adventurers gather. Finally, Leon comes out of the forest and in the distance he can see Blaine. He is happy because for the first time since half a month ago he will be able to sleep in a bed. Going through the forest became a training place for Leon. He camped in the nature for the first time and the goblins attacked frequently, seeing himself in tight conditions. Elcid allowed him to use the sacred sword instead of the wooden one. With it he finished with all the dangers he faced in the 15 days he was in the forest. Thanks to this training, those goblins that at the beginning gave him a hard time became nothing. He was able to do this not only thanks to the sword, but also to the foot handling that Elcid taught him. Leon definitely became much stronger in that forest. If it was up to him, he would like to finish off monsters from that very day. He is very excited, but Elcid takes him down a peg. He still has a long way to go. When he arrives in the city, he managed to get in with the Academy's student ID. Elcid mentions that this city is a town of thugs. It is very messy and the security is not very good. The first place Leon will look for is the guild, so he can register as an adventurer. A mercenary wouldn't be bad for him, but in comparison, an adventurer has more freedom to move around. If Leon wants to use the privileges of a hero, then being an adventurer who takes on quests by killing monsters would be the best. Elcid mentions that there is still quite a bit left before his seal is released, and since he descended a year before the prophecy, most of Elcid's authorities as a holy sword are sealed. Usually, the bearer of the holy sword could possess a body that recovers so fast that he would be almost immortal. He would also be able to inflict fatal damage to demons, and as a bonus he is able to become multiple times stronger along with his aura and holy energy. For someone like Leon, who lacks aura to be able to use the sword to its fullest, he needs to become even stronger. Leon registers in the guild. There he is attended by this nice girl named Rise. Thanks to Helmut's recommendation, he was accepted without problems. By registering as an adventurer, he would start at rank D. At this rank he could take real jobs. Also, thanks to the letter of recommendation, Leon should be able to quickly climb up to rank C if he gives good results. Rank B is one where he needs to demonstrate the use of the aura weapon. While the main forces of the guild, ranks A and S, are a goal that takes a long time to reach, Leon can't believe that aura weapon is a requirement for B rank. Someone able to use this technique, control the aura outside his body, is even able to form a sword that can split rocks and cut steel. If that's what it takes for B rank, he can't imagine what it would take to be aura S rank. Elcid realizes that in the guild there are also humanoid races, like these guys here, who for some reason I don't understand. Look at Leon with this face. Elcid used to confront the races they work with here 300 years ago. Anyway, the log is complete. The first mission Leon will take on has to be one without a reward. This so the guild can recognize him as an adventurer. Of course, Elcid reminds him that the world is not always a simple place. Leon's first mission is to go to the sewers and take down these mutant rats. It's the first time he fights them. Leon's techniques are strictly for one-on-one fights. There's no better training than cutting down all kinds of enemies. After a while, he realizes that there is another rat, a bigger one with a horn, an evolved species. These species lived a long time as monsters or got some kind of special power by absorbing resources. The horn is the proof of their special ability. The bigger the horn, and the more it has, the more dangerous the ability is. But nothing happens, because this skill, damn it, turns out to be useless against the holy sword. So Leon finishes off that rat easily. Later, he takes the rat tails and also the horns to the guild. Rise is impressed by the amount of rat men he managed to kill. Moreover, he gave him a pretty good reward for the horns. Leon is the first person who has achieved so much in his first mission. Rise congratulates him and officially welcomes him to the D rank of the guild. The seal on that badge represents the city of Blame. He can wear it everywhere, but it's a measure taken to prevent people from taking only the missions they like. Elcid mentions that Rise seems to have mistaken Leon for a holy knight, because he took a mission that was not well paid and difficult. From the past, holy knights had to keep their identities secret before being officially named as one, and traveled around helping others. But hey, being a hero is similar to being a holy knight, so she's not far wrong. Still, Leon can't tell her the truth. This journey for Leon is not much different from helping others, because even though he is training, he helps someone while doing so. However, he plans to leave Blaine once he reaches B rank. However, how long does it have to be before he can reach it? According to Elcid, 100 days would be enough. He was planning to take it easy, but he will rush a bit because he can't stand that the successor of the holy sword is cleaning sewers to move up the ranks. Elcid mentions that Leon has to become strong as soon as possible and at least defeat a dragon. Now that Leon has learned the basic principles of vision and foot handling, he will increase his mastery through real battles, because one of the privileges of being a hero is that he is able to absorb the power of the monsters he defeats. Well, being honest, anyone can absorb the power of a monster and turn it into aura, but the nobles and royalty hid that in the past so that they were the only ones able to use it. Elcid wants Leon to become familiar with the process so he can eventually go dragon hunting. Because yes, that was no joke. The holy sword is no cleaning utensil. Elcid insists on hunting dragons because in the future they have to go to the Titan Mountain Range, an area that even dragons dare not go to. It's a land where the giant king rules. Leon asks Elcid why in the past he wanted to go to a demonic kingdom which numerous kingdoms have failed to conquer. He replies that his body was left in that area, and he lost all his memories, so he doesn't know too much. But anyway, Elcid wants them to make their half-year goal to reach that land. Although Leon hesitates a bit, he ends up trusting and agreeing. From hunting rat men so much, Leon was nicknamed as Cat, although this guy literally confuses him with this cat man. There came a time when Leon was carrying a smaller amount than usual, and it is because there aren't many rat dudes anymore because they are afraid of him. So Leon would like to check other commissions. Rise knew that day would come, so she had prepared 4 missions chosen by herself. Among those 4, Leon opts for the one that looks the oldest. It is a very unpopular one and has never been renewed. The mission is to wipe out the rock slimes. These inhabit the subway of the fortress because guess what? They actually eat rocks. The mission is done by Blaine's defense captain. Leon arrives at the place, where this guy didn't expect anyone to request such a mission. After that, he is received by the defense captain. who recognizes the guts he has in accepting such a mission. He also plans to pay him a little more if he does the job well. This place is wet and slippery, which means it is the perfect place to train footwork. Slimes begin to appear, which are capable of throwing rocks at high speed and are very tough. The slime's weakness is its core. If this is destroyed, it is the end of the slime. But this type of slime has many rock fragments inside it, which works as several layers of armor protecting it. That is why it is so tedious to kill them, and that is why no one takes that mission. The slimes launch a flurry of attacks together. They know that it is difficult for Leon to dodge their attacks. Thanks to the vision technique, Leon knows from what distance the slimes can attack and the way they do it. However, in order to cut the core, he would need to evade the rock fragments. Leon finally chooses to attack at the moment when the slimes are charging their attack. Thanks to that vision and the foot handling technique, he manages to finish off many slimes. In a moment, almost unintentionally, Leon does level 2 of the foot handling technique. Finding balance on the flat ground and reducing both sound and vibration are the basic principles in level 2. If there are other things on the ground, Leon must know how to use them. This is to become flexible enough to turn an environmental disadvantage into a convenience. Until now, the posture and movements Leon has been using were stagnant because he only used them on flat ground. But being now in a place with a low ceiling and wet ground, he needs to move in a way that suits this place. Elsid tells him that he shouldn't dodge attacks after getting a little used to the footwork technique. Instead, he should practice getting hit, but not taking as much damage, so he can use that experience in a real fight. 3 weeks go by and Leon continues to go hunting slimes. He always comes back with full sacks, even though the rewards for this mission are not good at all. That day is the last one. Leon cleaned the nearby areas of the fortress walls, so as the slimes reproduce slowly, it won't be necessary to go kill them for a while. Leon asks to let the Adventurers Guild know that the mission was completed. Elsid mentions that using the power he accumulated from completing the slime quest, Leon took the first step to learn aura. It was faster than he expected. At first, Elsid expected him to absorb a somewhat decent amount of power, but thanks to no one taking that quest, he managed to get much more than expected. However, he got the minimum amount of power required to start using the aura. However, Lionel is somewhat behind in comparison to people who start using aura. The descendants of renowned families, such as Lionel, receive a baptism where their circulatory system is opened at the moment they are born, to establish the aura base with elixir. Aura development without a baptism was an impossibility for someone like Lionel in the past. Elsid explains that if someone uses baptism to unblock the circulatory system that has been blocked by impurities, people are unable to resist the process and die. However, Leon has been absorbing mana all that time. And most importantly, he has Elsid, the Holy Sword. The power of the Holy Sword could protect his circulatory system and at the same time be able to heal the wounds. But at the same time, he will have to resist unbearable pain. Basically, if Leon loses consciousness, then the baptism will be a failure. Whether it fails or works, depends on his will. Elsid creates multiple swords of light that pierce Leon. He is being able to withstand up to 10 swords. As Leon's aura awakened, Elsid became aware of the presence of people that have been hiding in the city. After a while, Leon is able to feel the aura flow circulating inside his body. He sees himself able to do anything, but he is wrong. Elsid only used baptism to unblock his major vein. If Leon wants to use aura properly, he also has to train his small veins. Thanks to all this, Leon is now able to use the aura sense, which allows him to be able to analyze his surroundings. Elsid explains to him that aura has 5 attributes common to humans: wood, water, fire, metal, and earth. However, the attribute that Leon has is none of those 5, which surprises him, because Leon got the same type of aura that Roderick had. His aura is of the sun attribute, the highest level of the attributes representing brightness. Just now, Leon is level 22 and his title was upgraded. Now he is the hero who finally learned aura. But that's not the only thing. Even though he just learned aura, he is already level 3. This because he was able to use acceleration before he learned to use aura. He can even use aura sense. Technically, he is at a higher level than 1 and 2. Elsid now wants to teach Leon some swordsmanship. This encourages Leon a lot. However, Elsid warns him that in that city are his enemies. Somewhere in this city are hidden the hero's archenemies, the ones whose mission is to spoil the hero's purpose by manipulating beings from other worlds. Elsid hasn't even given them a name, so he just calls them Malice. At his current level, Leon would be no match for them. However, it's not that much of a problem, because those enemies will go unnoticed for the time being. However, Leon doesn't have all the time in the world. Elsid gives him an estimated 2 months before they start attacking. After not appearing for 4 days there, Leon returns to the guild. Rise feels something different about him. It could either be the aura or that he likes him. That we won't know. Rise congratulates him because Leon was finally promoted to rank C. Usually to move up a rank would require an exam, but thanks to the missions Leon completed, this test was skipped. Leon asks Rise for requests for missions related to the suburbs. Suburbs are places where usually poor people gather, but Blaines are different: thieves, informants, escaped convicts, murderers, people of that ilk. It's an area occupied by lawbreakers. There is not a single request directly related to the suburbs, since those are jobs for mercenaries, not adventurers. Adventurers don't meddle in human disputes, as going to the suburbs for now doesn't seem to be a good idea. Rise proposes the following mission: fighting living armors in an abandoned mansion. The armors left in these mansions have turned into living armors. armors, as that mansion is near the suburbs. Surely Leon could use to go to the surroundings of that area. So he thanks Rise for the help and takes the mission. Before leaving, Rise gives him the reward for the removal of the rock slime. Leon asks Rise about the location of Blaine's church. She is surprised. Leon knew he would behave that way because if Rise thinks he is a holy knight. Although normally holy knights cannot ask for help from the church during their penance, there would be an exception if enemies of the church appeared. Heretics, those who condemn the goddess, regardless of their affiliation. The church would marshal its full force to eliminate them. Rise gives him the address of the church, and right after Leon leaves, he proceeds to go report immediately that an enemy of the church showed up. Elcid tells Leon that he was very astute, since there is no chance of the guild making a move on the warning of a C-rank adventurer who is not even a holy knight. Although we already saw that this is not the case and that Rise went straight to report. Anyway, back to the living armors. These are able to move using the power of magic or sorcery. They are nothing more than pieces of metal with instructions to repel enemies. However, in the mission they clarify that the armor regeneration speed is abnormally high. At night, on the way to the mansion, Leon feels something unpleasant when he enters that street. This is because of his aura sense. The aura of the sun is very sensitive to bad intentions from outside. The people of that place are seeing Leon as an easy target because of the age he looks. Those bad intentions stimulated Leon's aura. Moments later, he arrives at the mansion. That mansion is so worn out that it couldn't be sold even if the living armors weren't inside. Upon entering, Leon uses Elcid as a torch. Soon after he encounters one of the armors. This armor uses a halberd. It is the first time that Leon faces an opponent with one of those. The halberd can be wielded to cut, push to pierce, and hit to crush. But this is no problem. Leon manages to finish off the armor by blowing it to pieces. However, seeing that it did not regenerate as they said, they thought they had made a false report. Moments later, war armors come against Leon. Not seeing very well, Elcid makes the sword brighter. This light makes the armors very uncomfortable, which should not happen because they are supposed to be empty, or so they thought. Because after exchanging blows, they realize that they are not living armors. They are actually evil spirits, born from an uneasy spirit living inside the armor. Having the sacred sword is a great advantage against these spirits. Elcid mentions that the creation of these ghost armors has a low success rate, so the fact that there are so many means that they are the souls of people who are dying in the city, exactly in the slums. Leon starts taking down the ghost armors one after another until it becomes daylight. Meanwhile, in the suburbs we meet this guy that everyone there is afraid of. His name is Khan and he is the head of Bastard, the most powerful gang in Blaine. The members of this gang have a peculiar hairstyle, but Khan is not playing around and is even capable of killing his own subordinates. Khan is investigating something strange that's happening. Human remains have been found in the sewage. They didn't know what it was. Not even a ritual of a black magician would leave such a mess, so they want to leave a report striking enough for the guild or the church to take action. They can't form an alliance with the church because it is detrimental to them. One of the gang members informs Khan that in an abandoned mansion there is an adventurer who constantly visits the mansion for a request. Exactly, he means Leon. They even gave him a nickname. Let's remember that at first it was Cat, but these days they call him Sweeper. Khan is interested in Leon and wants to find a use for him, so he will send someone to call him. Meanwhile, Leon is training. His stats were updated again. At that moment he receives guests. Those guys from the Bastard gang that have funny haircuts. Without thinking too much and just because he felt no malice from those guys, Leon decides to go with them. There he meets Khan. Just as the gang wants to use Leon, he plans to do the same with them. But he did not expect Khan to be so fearsome. He managed to withstand a blow from the sword with his arm, and a single attack from him, even if it was just the force of the wind, was enough to leave Leon bleeding. And that's how the first part of this MANHWA ends. Well guys, if you like this video and you want a second part, comment below with the word Leon. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell and like the video. But most important, leave a comment. Until the next video.